quickly enough because the Dobsonian mount is very sensitive and it moves at like the slightest touch. So I got some really great moon photos and some great another planet. Let me finish the story. So anyway, I saw this bright star and then a dimmer star near it, which I now know is one of the stars in the Virgo system. And I was like, that bright star does not look familiar to me. It's not normally what you see. I mean, when we look up at the sky, we always see Arcturus and we always see Vega and we always see Spica of the Virgo system. You know, these are really bright stars and Antares, really bright stars in our system. You know, and it's easy to tell, okay, there's Ursa Major, there's Cassiopeia, there's Draco. You know, it's really easy to be able to tell certain constellations because they set themselves apart in certain ways in their shape and their size. And so we set it up to look at this bright star and we looked through the eyepiece and it was just the 25 millimeter, which is farther away. And immediately my heart just started pumping really fast. It started beating really fast. And tears came to my eyes and I was just like, and I've seen a planet before. But like last, it was, I believe, October 2010, Jupiter, which is a planet I very much have a connection with, especially his moon, Ganymede. Jupiter we were looking at because there was an alignment between Jupiter and his four moons, Europa, Callisto, Io, and Ganymede. And they were all in the straight line. And that was amazing to see. And it was like that for at least a few weeks. So we kept checking back because the weather was warm enough here that we kept going back at night and just wearing light sweaters, right? And checking out what was happening with Jupiter. And so this time I'm looking through, my heart starts racing and my eyes start tearing up and I get so excited. And I feel like the universe has just given me this incredible gift. And I like immediately I'm saying to Eric, like, oh my God, it's Saturn, you know, because it's the first time I've ever seen Saturn through a telescope. And he's like, no way, right? So he looks through and of course there's the rings and it's really far away. Like it's really small, especially in the smaller eyepiece. It was maybe only a few millimeters across, you know, it wasn't very big at all, you know, and to the point where you had to like really look and basically had to stop breathing. So you stopped moving, like hold your breath in order to see any color on Saturn in order to, you know, and of course both of us talked about how strange certain planets look through the eyepiece, and especially Saturn basically just looked like someone drew a picture of this little planet with rings and put up a piece of paper in front of the telescope kind of thing. You know what I mean? And that poses questions for me as well, because everything that we've been told is a ginormous lie. So I question pretty much everything. So, you know, we're seeing this thing that looks like a two-dimensional, doesn't look like a three-dimensional planet, the way that even the moon kind of looks strange to me. But you know, and Jupiter certainly looked strange, even though I got a closer look at Jupiter and his four moons, much closer than Saturn was. And even when we put the 10 millimeter on, which magnifies a little higher, it still wasn't much bigger, but you could start to see the moons that were around Saturn, and you could start to see the one star that is of the Virgo constellation, and whose name I can't remember right now. But yeah, it was so fascinating. And I ended up running into the house. Like, I don't run. I ended up running into the house and said to my dad, you got to come out and you got to look at this. I saw Saturn, you know, and I'm like freaking out. And I feel like, but in a very positive way, you know, the universe has given me a very positive gift, you know, because it's just, it's one thing, you know, when you expect that you're going to see this glowing, undulating, swirling mass of gases and combustibles, and you know, you look into the eyepiece and you see a planet that you have seen photos of and you have heard talked about many times, but you've never actually seen, especially not with your naked eye, but you haven't even seen with a telescope. So that was a very high point for me. And I know that I just realized that I have just been talking and I haven't really been thinking. I've just been like on this this energetic tangent because which is really good. I'm kind of sort of in the zone, I guess. But now that I'm talking about the zone, I'm falling out of it. So isn't that what happens? My conscious self, what I'm basically saying is it was my subconscious just a few minutes ago that was talking to you, more so than my conscious. Because I zoned out. I went somewhere else. But it was an incredible experience. It really was a gift from the universe, and I never expected that, and I obviously I carry that with me, and I think I'll always carry that experience with me of seeing Saturn for the first time, because what an incredible experience. And if you have the opportunity, Saturn's in the sky right now, in the northern sky. So get out there with your binoculars, with the telescopes. Even through binoculars, Saturn looks crazy different than all the other stars. It does look like a mass of solid matter compared to the other stars that just look like twinkling lights, right? Or depending how you're seeing it, how close you're seeing it, undulating and swirling lights. But if you're just looking through like a pair of Bushnell binoculars, Bushnell for the explorer in you. I did that in another show, and I really do love the binoculars that I have, because I've tried other binoculars and they've just been garbage in comparison. So yeah, I do push Bushnell's products. They need to pay me a stipend for that. But anyway, yeah, if you just have a pair of binoculars, really good binoculars, and not like crazy good, like $800, $900 binoculars, the kind that have like crazy magnification and takes photos and videos and stuff like that. Although that's something I would love to get. Even just through regular binoculars, you'll see something different about Saturn than you will about all the other stars that surround it. So that was an incredible experience. And considering we're coming upon now a huge lunar event, which unfortunately, we won't be able to see. But if you're listening and you're in another country, I hope that you can see it. And if you're listening and you're in this country, I hope you can see it. I hope that everything that's been written about it is kind of wrong in that sense, and then we can actually go outside and see something. Because we actually had a solar event, a solar eclipse, like a week and a half ago, I believe, and I couldn't see anything from where I was. And me, I'm an avid sun picture taker, and I don't know how else to say this. I capture the sun often in photographs, as you can see if you watch the videos that I put up instead of just listening to them. And I'm always seeing objects around the sun. I'm always when I get pictures back later, I am always seeing crafts around the sun. And it's the reflection off the sun that makes them easier to see. And I've seen other sun pictures and they're not there. So I know that for somebody like me, I call the crafts all the time. Anytime I'm going to be outside, anytime we're going to go on a little excursion to the beach, and I'm constantly calling the crafts just to let them know I'm going to be here, I'm going to be there, just please show up so I can see you, so I can get you on film, whatever else. And 9 times out of 10 it happens. So actually, that brings to mind, because I am on a tangent today. Everything's just very disorganized, and you can blame that on my emotional upheavals this week. But and not just negative things. My cousin got married on Saturday, and that is that's a weird thing for me on many levels, because I've always been against marriage and against weddings and against all of that stuff. I'm not so against it now after being there for her wedding. I couldn't imagine not being there for her wedding. But I still question. I'm very curious, and I'm confused why other people aren't curious. Why do we do these traditions? Why do we just do these traditions and not ask about them? Why do we just get married and have babies by a particular time, by a particular age, and not question why we're doing things the way that our parents did them? And I see it more and more, thankfully, because the consciousness has been raising so much, especially in the last 15 years. And I think we can blame the internet positively for that, because it has helped open doors to people who perhaps wouldn't have somebody to talk to about things that they've experienced or things that they've seen, or create a curiosity, I guess, within people to go searching. And I've seen the consciousness raising and more people asking questions. And I'm not saying my cousin doesn't ask questions. I realize that there's a great deal of love in it, and some people just accept certain traditions because they hold very positive for them. And the only reason it's a tradition that in the past I've been completely against is because I have viewed it as being just for church and state, neither of which I agree with. I don't agree with religion, and I don't agree with government. So that has been a problem for me in the past. And now the reason that it's more of an issue for me, and it's less of an issue for me now after having been to her wedding, because despite that, I am an extreme romantic, but I was never ever one of those little girls who dreamed about her wedding or anything like that. I dreamed about different things. I dreamed about meeting angels. I dreamed about meeting ETs, which are pretty much interchangeable if you ask me, like Corey and Trevor. For all my Trailer Park Boys friends. And I say that for her benefit, my cousin who just got married too, because I got her into Trailer Park Boys, which is a Canadian legacy. So it doesn't matter what country you're from, you need to watch it. And I have friends in the UK who watch it. I have this one friend who writes me all the time and says, "So is anything else happening with the boys? Blah, blah, blah." So it's really funny. But I got her into the Trailer Park Boys. And then when I was working in Los Angeles, I was in, I believe it was Santa Monica. And I was in this clothing store, and I came across this shirt that showed a trailer, and it had written on the bottom of it, "All the best girls come from the trailer park." And I hope she still has it. But as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, okay, I'm buying that gift for her. And so I bought her that shirt, and she just loved it. But yeah, so I don't know where that came from. Okay, I was talking about interchangeable. Corey and Trevor are interchangeable, just like angels and ETs were. So when I was a kid, I didn't dream about weddings or marriage or anything. I dreamed about falling in love. That was important to me. But I didn't dream about weddings and marriage and everything. So, yeah, my ideas as a child were very different from, as you know, we're very different from the status quo, as they still are, and so it just makes me question the tradition. I question all traditions. I mean, how many non-Christian or non-Catholic families do you see that celebrate Christmas? And in my own personal journey, I don't even think we're going to be putting up a tree anymore, because it's not a representation of who either me or my partner are, because neither one of us agrees with religion, or especially agrees with the negative aspects, the controlling aspects that have been put upon us by the global elite through mainstream religion, like Islam, Christianity, and Catholicism, and Jehovah's Witnessism, and Mormonism, and all this other stuff. And we don't believe in the doctrines that are connected to it, like baptism and going to church and all this other stuff. So I don't think we're even going to be doing a tree this year. And I'm relieved on that for a couple of reasons. One of them being that our cat kept getting up in the tree and eating little plastic pieces of the tree and then throwing them up everywhere. And it made me feel really awful because, she's actually a really smart cat, but once in a while she's like really stupid and she does dumb things like that and doesn't connect that, oh, I'm throwing up because I keep eating these green plastic things that are on this tree that I keep climbing. So it was affecting her, Josie's health. So I was just like, okay, I think for many reasons, this is maybe the last year we're going to do a tree. So who knows what will happen. And I try not to call it Christmas anymore. I try to call it Yule, because it is, based upon the Yule solstice. Would it be solstice or equinox? It would be solstice. Okay, so it's based upon like the Yule solstice. So, and that's where it comes from. I mean, religionists came by and hijacked it from us pagans, hundreds or maybe thousands of years ago to get more people interested in joining the church in the controlling regime. So, by hijacking one of our holidays, the appreciation of the Yule solstice, we